Hey, what's good, everybody? How are you doing? Happy Friday, wherever you may be, from me to you. Hope you guys are doing good. We are kicking things off right back into some Kerbal Space Program because you guys remember from yesterday, we were working on our automated Python automated rocket landings. We were having some trouble because the controller wasn't controlling very good. Yes, that was a sentence. And, well, off stream, well, right before stream, which is why I'm a little bit late, I was doing a little bit of perusing our code, and I found an issue. I think I may have found the issue, in fact, as to why we were having some bad performance. Well, I think it's at least the issue that made the controller very sensitive to the gains, particularly the integral gain that we had within our PID loop. So we'll go through that. We'll talk about what I found. We will do some tests and all of that, of course, and then hopefully we can clear it for flight and get back into doing some missions, because we do have some missions that are still open that we got to get done and worked on. Before we do that, I want to take a breather and ease into the stream, if that's okay with everybody here. Let's fly our helicopter over to our landing zone and just see where we left things off, because I don't exactly remember. I don't think we landed last time, but don't remember. Alrighty then. So you guys know this helicopter. It is my go-to, my baby. Also, I just realized, for whatever reason, KSP is not playing through the correct audio channel because KSP does not want to do it. There we go. That's more like it. That's the correct one. Now I can balance the audio a little better, and there we go. Okay. Rocket wasn't rocketing and Python wasn't yes, that. Pithing. It was very pithy, wasn't it? Yes, exactly correct. All right, so those are going to be deployed. Let's actually have that fully deployed, because why not? That should not be... is that going to be deployed? Yeah, I don't think that needs to be deployed right now. All right, well, anyways, let's go ahead and start throttling up here. There we go. Oh, and chat didn't even have to do anything, chat. Wouldn't you know it? Let's go ahead and fly. That looks like, oh, that is actually it. That was our test vehicle that we were flying. And it seems to be not on the pad, question mark? Get that out. There we go. And let's go forward, yeah? Let's go forward and see what's up. Oh, we gotta close up the doors. There we go. Yeah, that's better. That's better. So yeah, this is our sort of blend of an SB1 Defiant and a Bell 222. Kind of very Airwolf style of vehicle. It has the pusher motors in the back, which is pretty sick. Ah, yes, there it is, chat. In fact, look at that. Look what we found. The booster has fallen over. Yep. The booster skipped leg day, I suppose. But that's what we want to figure out if we can't do better. Let's go ahead and slow down and see where we kind of left off a little bit. Yes, the booster stopped boostering. I really like this vehicle because with the Junos that we have in the back here producing thrust, and then also the pusher motor in the back, you can actually invert the lift that it generates, so we can actually basically go backwards. You can get into a really nice, like, very slow configuration. There we go. You can balance out the craft to just hover, like, perfectly in this game, which is really, really nice. Yep, that's that would be the booster. Booster is not boostering. Great weather? It is. It is great weather. Yes, it is. A perfect day to do some rocket landing tests, if I do say so. Let's go this way. Man, this helicopter is super maneuverable. Let me tell ya what, chat. Let me tell ya what. But not too shabby. Yeah, we'll just go ahead over here. Actually, you know, we'll probably end up quick saving, or I should say quick loading our last time we were flying the booster. That shouldn't have been too long ago. And we can start using that for our tests. But, so it doesn't really matter if we land this or not over here, because it's going to just be reverted back to the VAB. But no matter. There we go. And we'll just start our descent. Taking it nice and easy, right? Nice and easy. Tease it. Tease it. And touchdown. Perfect. Neat. Well, like I said, this helicopter, super nice to fly. Alrighty then. Let's see what trouble we can get into. So let's go ahead and actually we'll leave this here. And so I'll show y'all what I was talking about. All right. So I also did went through and cleaned up the code a little bit just to make it a little bit more readable, a little bit more comments in better places instead of having comments throughout, getting rid of commented out code that we weren't using anymore. And then also, chat, what I'm hoping will be nice is I added the plots back from a previous one of these other codes had all this plotting information, so went ahead and took that as well. So we should be able to hopefully be able to see performance really well as we start tuning the controller. If that even needs to be done again, I'm not sure. But yeah, we'll see exactly what is required. But one of the things that where was that? I think that was in our controllers.py. So one of the things that we had here in our PID class was in our update commands, right? We're checking our position update or velocity update, right? There's two different forms of PIDs. They're basically do the same thing, but one uses the error rate and one uses the actual error, but it all comes out to basically be the exact same thing. So if you guys come down here to the position update, right? So the position update goes through and calculates the proportional error, the proportionality of the error over time, right? The integral, and then also the derivative of the error. That's how you get your PID coming together to create an output to try and track a particular set point or a particular goal. Say, for example, we wanted to track our vertical or our horizontal velocity towards the pad. We would have an error, which would be how far away we are from the pad at any given point. That's going to create its own output. And then however far we are away from the pad over time at each time step creates the integral term, right? And that all gets summed up. And then finally we can have a derivative term, which is the instantaneous change of the error over time. So all that comes together to create your PID output. So this is from the position update. Like I said, there are two different forms of a PID, right? There's the velocity form, meaning you're using the error rate, the rate of change of the error, and then position. The positional form uses the basically the direct error value. So if we want to be at the pad at 0, but we're 1,000 meters away, 1 kilometer away, then our error for the positional is 1,000 meters, right? So there's a particularly big thing here that we implemented anti-windup. And so one of the bad things that can happen within your PID controller is your integral term, because you're integrating the error over time, meaning that each time step, you're basically summing up the error all the way up until, you start actually tracking your designated goal. So that means that if you basically, let me get paint out real quick. Sorry for the flashbang chat. I know it's rough for a second. There we go. So if we had kind of like this, and imagine that our goal is here at 0, 0, and we start all the way up here, right? This is our rocket flying in towards the pad. You can imagine that at each time step, we have this gigantic error as our distance, downrange distance to the pad, right? We have this as our error. You can imagine that over time, because we're summing up the error at each time step, this value for our PID, the I can go really, really, really big. Like huge, because we're basically summing up the error at each time step, and then that error, right, actually contributes to our output, so you can saturate your controller really, really quickly. So there's a couple ways that you can mitigate that. One of those is by implementing what's known as an anti-windup, basically trying to mitigate that explosion, that runaway of the game that you can actually have. By basically saying, hey, if we're maxing out the controller, then don't do anything with your integral, is essentially what it comes down to, right? So that way your integral error doesn't keep increasing just because once we're saturating the controller. So for the positional one, we implemented that, right? It's right here. Handle integrations only if Ki does not equal 0. Limit the integral contribution to prevent saturation. So here you can see we basically calculate the integral term that would go into our PID controller. And we say, hey, if our output ends up being higher than our maximum or minimum output, then cut it, right? Normalize it to a certain value so that way it doesn't just keep increasing and saturating our controller. I realized not by mistake, by design, but mistakefully, we were not looking at this code yesterday. We were not looking at the right code yesterday. We implemented as our horizontal velocity controller, it is of the velocity form, right? So I have velocity form equals false for our distance controller, but I have the horizontal velocity being of the velocity form because that is the That is the default, which is fine. That's totally good. But when we were looking over this code last night, I was looking here at position update, and I was particularly looking here to see if we were actually mitigating that wind up from saturating our controller. And I was looking at it, if you guys remember, and I was like, oh yeah, we have that, so that's not the problem. But this again is the position update. We need to go to the velocity form update. And wouldn't you know it, this code right here that is titled anti-windup was commented out. It was like that. I don't know if it's because we were testing something during tuning of our last controller. I don't know. This right here was commented out, so I uncommented it, and I think that could potentially solve our issues. I think. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that that will solve our issue. Haven't tested it yet. Just ran through and made sure everything is looking good here. Otherwise, yeah, we'll have to see, chat. We will have to see. Let's see, get rid of that, okay. So yeah, we'll, I guess, figure out what to do from here. So, where did we leave off if we do F9 for a quick load? You never made it past algebra. No worries, no worries. None of that was like super important, other than the last realization that I think I was completely overlooking. All right, so this is where we left off. So I'm controlling the vehicle manually so far. Because if you guys remember, the last run that we did here, right? The last run that we did. Yeah, let's hold that right there if we can. I realized that we were getting different results. Uh-oh. This is definitely hard to do manually. Let me just tell you what, chat. It's not impossible, but it is difficult for sure. Uh-oh. Come on, baby. Super sketchy. Super sketchy. But we're doing it. We're doing it, chat. We don't have a lot of fuel, though. We made it on the pad, though. Oh, goodness. Anyways. Yes. That's about the same results that we were getting last night, except we were completely all over the place on whether or not we were tracking the pad. No matter what we did with the controller, sometimes it would do well, sometimes it wouldn't. And we realized at the very end of the stream that it had something to do with the amount of time that we were engaging the controller. So like, for example, this was a very short flight, right? We basically saved it 21 kilometers in altitude, where beforehand we were testing it like all the way up here at like 50 kilometers altitude. And when we were doing that, we were not tracking the pad like whatsoever. Dalek, nice. So that told me, after looking it over, after rewatching that part of the stream and then looking through the code, that I think it was in fact an integral wind-up problem. So I think what we need to do here is reload. When we reload, I'm going to engage the flight controller and we're going to see what the heck is going on. So let's do it. That was the only change. That was the only change to the actual code base. I did some rearranging and reorganizing, but the actual code itself stayed the same, other than commenting out that one bit in the PID control, that anti-wind-up. So this is it. So all I did was uncomment this. That's all I did. So we'll see if the anti-wind-up makes it better. All right. So far, so good. Ooh. This is looking pretty good. We're tracking We're now overshooting a little bit. It's coming back though on the horizontal velocity. Ooh. I think I think that could have been it. We'll have to retry it from a farther launch, but don't forget we also have to tune the landing code as well, the throttle response. Uh-oh. Yep, there's the throttle response. That was the throttle response. That was the throttle response that we have to tune. Also, we now have very useful plots. Ooh. Yeah, see, that's not good. You see this? On the actual throttle versus time? You don't want to see that. You don't want to see that at all. So what do we have? What's happening here? So it cuts the throttle. It cuts the throttle for a pretty long time. So it seems like, let's actually look at the code here. Where would that be? Hey, King Crab, legs a bit late. Legs, that's because we were still, okay, when we hit the ground, we were still going 65 meters per second downward. That's why the legs were a bit late. What's up, Codeman? How are you? They shouldn't be late. Yes, we have plots. That's right. We have very useful plots now, I hope. But we need to tune the landing throttle controller. Oh yeah, that was the other change I made, which again doesn't change the actual implementation really at all because we were still doing it. But since I guess we originally made this code, I implemented the Cascade controller class. So instead of having to try and manually set points and feed that into the PID and all that, we made a class to make that much easier. So essentially a cascading controller, for anybody who doesn't know, is you essentially have two PID loops. You have a PID here and a PID here, right? We have some sort of summation. The output from here comes in from here. This goes into here. Just bear with me. I'm going to finish the drawing first. You basically have something like this: plus minus, plus minus. Oops. So you basically have two PIDs cascading, meaning that they're going together in series to then have a final output, right? And this final output in this case would be throttle for the for that landing throttle controller. And so the inputs here would be the PID loop, essentially. So this would be for our cascading controller. This is altitude. And then for this one, this is vertical velocity. And so what we do is that we basically choose an altitude that we want to achieve, and that gets fed into the PID to then determine the vertical velocity. Try to match that desired vertical velocity with a throttle response, if that makes sense. So it basically goes altitude, goes into deciding a vertical velocity, right? And then that decides our throttle in order to either go up or go down to meet that vertical velocity. And so what you have here is our actual altitude, right? And then this is our error between our actual altitude and our current altitude. And then this becomes our vertical velocity set point, which would be our desired, if you will, vertical velocity. Desired. And so, yeah, they just feed into each other like this. So, like I said, we were doing this manually in the old code. But since we, I guess, made this, I actually have a cascading controller class that just manages that for us automatically. So a little bit simpler code-wise, but, you know, to kind of clean things up. But overall, it's still the same. So if you try to, you know, compare what we had last stream and this stream. As a data science machine learning engineer, my heart is warmed by plots. I'm so glad, Houston. Yes, welcome to the bright side, question mark. Okay, so we were looking for, yes, this landing throttle cascade. So we have it down here. So yeah, outer loop is altitude goes to velocity, inner loop is velocity to throttle. And then we have it down here as well. So this is mode 4 and this is mode 3. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. What I really care about, I think, is mode 4. Does different gravities change how you want throttling to fire? That's a good question. You know, honestly, I don't think so, because what we're doing here is bypassing anything that deals with gravity, right? We're using altitude and vertical velocity desired to then command throttle. So there shouldn't really be any gravity there. So in a perfect world, I see this being able to be useful for any gravitational body, right? Any celestial body. Because all it is going to be like, okay, we're calculating how much thrust we have on the vehicle, and based on that thrust and how close we are to the ground, trying to achieve a balance in our vertical velocity for descent and the desired altitude, which for landing is essentially 0, right? So I don't think so. I don't think this will change. That would be an interesting experiment, though. You're not wrong. I wonder, you know what we can do? We have gravity cheats, right? In the cheat menu, we can actually cheat the hack gravity. That might be a very simple way of testing that. Yeah, I don't know. See, the only thing that I would have to maybe change with that, now that we're kind of going down a rabbit hole here, which is not steering. What did I call it? Son of a gun, chat. Oh, I do have plotting utils. You know, I totally didn't even, I just copied it and pasted it from somewhere else. Math utils? Maybe math utils. Launch utils. I think it was from here. Is this where I have my hover slam calculations done? No. It's not math utils. Nope. Impact predictor. No, not impact predictor. Where would it be? You know what? Let me just look it up here. Not steering. Not plotting utils, controllers, mission, launch. Is it launch utils? Maybe I just didn't see it. No, it's not. What the heck? What is it? Not controllers. It's in mode 3? No, mode 2. Calculator time to burn. Slam controller. Time to burn. Where's time to burn calculated? At the very top? It's in steering. Son of a gun. I did not think it was there. Anyways. I do get G from here. So orbital body gravitational parameter. I do get gravity. So I was going to say, like, the only thing we might have to change is our calculate landing burn. But because it's dependent upon the acceleration due to gravity, right? It's actually dependent upon the gravitational parameter. But we actually do get that and calculate that. So maybe this is actually a drop and paste to any sort of gravity. The only thing I'm wondering, though, do I take into account any drag? No, I do not take account drag. That's actually fine, because that's kind of like a best case scenario here. Or, sorry, a worst case scenario here, not accounting for drag. So this should work for both atmospheric and non-atmospheric bodies. But yeah, like I said, it would be an interesting experiment to do. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Impact predictor would need to know G. Yeah, it would. I'm still testing this. This is the stuff I want to like implement later, which is part of, you know, trying to figure out how to do boost back burns and all of that stuff. Okay. So where were we? Throttle response in 3 going to 4. So yeah, what do we have here? So the throttle response is very sluggish, as we can see here. Not only that, very oscillatory. So that tells me it has a very long time to wind up, right? So what it tells me here is that proportional is too high and integral is too low. right? Because if you look at this, we know from, we've talked about this before, the proportional game causes really fast response, but if you don't tune it correctly, it can create oscillations as your vehicle goes above and beyond the goal. It basically tries to act too quickly and therefore overshoots and undershoots, right? So that's like what looks like to be happening here. And then eventually, maybe it seems like the integral takes over finally and tries to maximize throttle because we're going super freaking fast, negative 65 meters per second, when we should be going like 5 meters per second descent. So yeah, let's try leaving everything the same and just increasing the integral. Let's just increase it by 10 and see what happens here. So I think I need to do this in 2 places here, right? There and there, because there's 2 different exits. Okay. Have you ever used Vim? Yes, I use Vim actually all the time for work. I just don't have it on this computer. And I'm too lazy to download the Vim shortcuts and set up Vim how I have it on my other computer. Save the plot for comparison. That's not a bad idea. Let's just go to desktop, figure 1, save. Yes, the all-knowing figure underscore X number for titling. That's good. Okay, well, let's go ahead and bring it back. And we'll go ahead and start the code so that way when it loads in, it should automatically execute. Ooh, that felt good. All right, and it's going. I gotta say though, getting rid of that integral windup problem, I think it seems to be doing pretty good now. Let me tell you, pretty happy about that. Yeah, something like that, Houston. Yeah, we'll just do figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. What, you know, what's wrong with that? Final, exactly. All right, that looks good. We're traveling negative 21 and trying to get to 30. 27 out of 27. Oh, wow, it's actually doing really good at tracking. Yeah, the horizontal velocity controller is looking super good. It's trying. Oh, it's trying to get there. Oh no. We're fine, chat. This is fine. There we go. Yep, there we go. Well, the landing legs didn't explode this time, so that's good. All right, let's see what we got here. Ooh. All right. Really oscillatory after decreasing, or well, we kept proportional the same. We increased integral. Let's try another one here where we decrease proportional now, because it does look like maybe integral is trying to take it over, but then the proportional just might be too high. So yeah, we'll go figure 2. Desktop, save. And if we want to do the comparison here, it is on my desktop, right? Yeah, there it is. So figure 1. All right, so that's figure 1, and this is figure 2. Right, the proportionality is not going to be the same. Anyways, I really just care about the throttle response. So yeah, see, very slow. Yeah, but see, increasing proportional or increasing integral seem to excite the system even more, and the proportional is trying to compensate for that overexcitement, I think. And then the last thing I want to try is probably getting lowering the derivative term, because that can also cause oscillations if the derivative term is too high. All right, well, let's see what we can do. No earth-shattering kaboom. That is correct. No earth-shattering kaboom. Hey, what's up, Andy? And we still see the Tinker test this year. Oh yeah, we're supposed to, right? Oops, I was late in starting the landing code. We'll see how that affects things. Compensate. Wait, did I change the KP? No, I did not change the KP. Son of a gun, chat. I got distracted looking at plots. So let's bring this down to say 0.5. And then I need the other one up here as well. It's very consistent now on at least this particular trajectory. Ooh, that'd be good, Andy. Heck yeah. Does it take into account sideways drift? It does. Yeah, see, no change, no change. Ah! Timber! Yeah, no change, because I forgot to actually make a change. So anyways, I have made the change now. Let's run it back. All right, go ahead and hit the start button. Cool. Yeah, like I said, it's tracking the pad at least very, very well now, so I'm happy about that. Okay, it's commanding 70 and we're at 80 and dropping 60 out of 60, 50, 50, 40, 20, and now it should be correcting. It is. Yeah, that's actually really kind of good. That's actually tracking is super good. It kind of overshoots a little bit, but it's smooth. So I'm happy about that. It doesn't take very long for it to come back. Okay. It seems smoother, but no, we still have that oscillation. So I think that's the derivative term doing that. Yeah, that's the derivative term, I think. All right, well, you know what? Only one way to find out. Let's zero out the derivative term. I mean, the derivatives is really small right now, but usually when you change your P and I and you still get those really big oscillations, I've seen that the derivative term can cause that, so we'll see. Yep, we'll bring that to 0 and see what happens. All right, so what I'm hoping for now with this, stand by. What'd I do? Oops, I copy and pasted the wrong thing. That's what I did. Horizontal, okay, that's not what I wanted. Yeah. Oh, well, that might actually be a problem as well. No, that's vertical. Oh, I copied this one. Okay. Whew. Yeah, so let's zero that out. Vertical velocity. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that derivative, even though it was a very, very small derivative gain. Let's just see what happens. You know, because usually how you tune a PID in the first place is you start with your proportional. You basically increase proportional until you get a certain amount of overshoot, and then you can back it down a little bit to try and even out that overshoot. And then you start looking at integral and adding integral, especially if you have a steady state error, or if you have too much oscillation and the integral doesn't do anything. If you don't have a steady state error, you just increase your derivative term. So now that we have proportional, since we don't have proportional and integral figured out, let's just zero out derivative so we don't have that as another variable right now. We can always add it back in pretty simply later if we see too much oscillation. Hey Cobra, how are you? When is the second new Glen launch in Vulcan? Well, Vulcan I think should be happening kind of quickly actually, like within the next couple of months. New Glen, I think they said in the next few months as well. Like I think both are kind of expected around the summer for New Glen and Vulcan, unless something else has changed there. How goes the code tuning? Really good. Definitely watch back the VOD if you want to hear what I think the problem was, because it definitely seems to be good now. We were, if you remember, if you were at the end of the stream Wednesday, we were talking about wind up with the integral term, right? Well, I thought I had anti-wind up implemented in the code, and even though I did, it was commented out. So all I did was uncomment, and now we get this. Ooh! Okay. It was the derivative term, chat. Look at that, it was the derivative term. What'd I say, chat? What did I say? The derivative. Oh, man. Okay. Wow. That was good. 35 meters from the center of the landing zone. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. That's actually looking like a great throttle response. That's actually looking pretty good. Don't mind this here, this dip. That's when we change control modes and there's a discontinuity. So it basically cuts the throttle for a very split second. But that's looking super smooth. Look at that, the vertical velocity. Oh, look at that. Yeah, you see, we have a slight overshoot here, but then it comes back. Oh, that's actually looking good. I wonder, is that an overshoot? Yeah, it's an overshoot, right? I wouldn't mind trying to see what happens if we increase proportional to maybe have it respond faster, because you see how long it takes to rise here? And then it does overshoot, but maybe we can increase proportional and then maybe try to very gently add in a little derivative if it causes too much oscillation. But look at that track. So the difference between orange and blue here, orange is what we're trying to achieve and blue is what we're actually achieving. Yeah, so we're trying to achieve a descent rate of 10 meters per second. And then as we get closer to the ground, basically bringing that up to 4 meters per second descent. And yeah, as you can see, we are doing pretty good. We have a pretty big overshoot here. So that increasing proportional might not be the case, what we want. But let's try it. Let's try increasing proportional. And we'll go ahead and save this as figure 3. Yeah, that's actually really not bad at all. That's actually pretty good. Oh man. You know what slot cars are? Not off the top of my head. Maybe not by that name. Maybe I do, just... Oh yeah, I know what. Yeah, I do, of course. Yeah, I was just about to say that particular reference you were talking about didn't ring a bell, but once I saw it, yeah, I know exactly what that is. Okay. So vertical velocity, well, proportional is also actually kind of low right now. So like I said, let's bring up proportional. What happens if we bring that up to 1.5 or 0.15? So if that overexcites the system, fair enough. But I do want to see how changing that makes the throttle response change. Yeah, they do, Andy. They're actually really fun to play with as well. I remember playing with those with my cousins. Had a whole track set up and whatnot. They had the little trigger controller. All right, let's see what happens. Like I said, so I'm hoping what's not happening here is we're tuning this vehicle right to this very particular trajectory. We're gonna have to, of course, redo it and test it from a few different altitudes and a few different boost back burns to really make sure it's good. Because of course, as you tune a PID, right, you're basically tuning that PID for a particular set of like initial conditions or range of conditions. So we need to make sure that we are actually doing it right here, that we get repeatability. Oh, it's tracking the pad so well, though. Look at that. And that switch over. Oh, that's actually looking really good if I do say so. That actually might be better. It looks like a slightly better response in throttle. So yeah, definitely faster response on the throttle as we were predicting, but how are we tracking? Ah, that's actually good. Actually pretty good. Might even need to increase it a little bit more, honestly. Because you see again how long it takes to basically follow the command. So like I said, increasing proportional makes it respond faster, but of course doing that could mean that it overshoots, and we do see an overshoot here as well. But I wouldn't mind trying to change it just a little bit, just a teeny, like let's put it to 0.2 instead of 0.15. You know what? We can also maybe increase our integral and just to a proportional integral controller. Let's do one thing at a time, but I wouldn't mind bumping this up to 2 as well and seeing how that responds. That actually might overexcite it, but we'll see. We do it again. Yeah, that one, by the way, was 15 meters from the pad center. Yeah. Pretty good. Okay. Any chance that you could do a 2-state proportional faster at the start than at the... Oh yeah, do gain scheduling? Yeah. We could certainly do that. Gain scheduling is certainly a thing. I'm hoping that's not necessary, but like I said, if we... Yeah, if that's in response to, like, if we test it from multiple altitudes running this and whatnot, like multiple boost backs and whatnot, that actually might be really good. So far it seems to be doing pretty good as is, though. But I'm not against implementing that if we have to. One thing I wanted to change here, chat, just to see if it does anything, is what happens if we boost this up a little bit. So the distance controller effectively tells the booster how aggressively it should try to get to the pad. So if we increase this a little bit, then that basically means that it will up here command a higher velocity for a longer period of time, right? As basically this is a commanded horizontal velocity approach to the pad based on our linear distance to the pad. So as you can see here, we are 158 meters away from the pad center, and it's commanding 26 meters per second velocity to get to the pad. Which, like I said, is probably fine, but we were also at a really low altitude here. So I'm wondering if being slightly aggressive might mean that we basically end up right over the pad higher up, so it can just fall straight down, essentially. So let's see if that helps us or hurts us. Okay. So go ahead and hit play, running, and we go. Can Stratolauncher send a 3-crewed space plane to the station? I'd like to think yes. I mean, they had plans of putting Dream Chaser on Stratolauncher, so I'd like to think that that means that they probably have the capability of launching a large enough booster to get an actual something like Dream Chaser into orbit from the Stratolauncher. So I'd like to think so, Andy, but I haven't, like, you know, done the numbers or anything. All right, so right now we're targeting 30 meters per second. Yeah, it's definitely going faster. See, we're now coming right over the booster now, or right over the pad. Looking good. Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if that is like a big enough change to like see a difference. What if we make it 0.2? That way it should be really a lot more aggressive. Also, what did that response look like? So this was increasing proportional to 0.2. That actually, that's definitely fast. And how are we doing here? Ah, okay. So it seems to be responding pretty fast now, but I think we're kind of achieving a steady state error maybe. So let's go ahead and increase our integral term a little bit to see if that really brings everything together. Otherwise, I'm honestly pretty happy with that throttle response. Like I'm kind of debating on whether we just leave it there, but let's just see what happens, you know, if this makes it, you know, degrade by increasing this integral term, then we'll just put it back, and I think we found our tuned throttle controller. But otherwise, and then I increased our distance controller gain to be 0.2 instead of 0.17. So let's see if those couple of changes do anything worthwhile. If not, then we can revert back, and that'll probably be done, and we move on to the next set of tests. What do you think about the NGAD F-47 announcement? Going to be some pretty cool tech here. Yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see a 6th gen United States fighter. Yep, I have really no qualms with it. And it's like I said, this has been around. I think, right? Trump even said it's been around for a while. Like we've seen here and there, Lockheed, for example, development and all that sort of stuff. Like they've been around already for a while. Doing some, like, I guess subsystem tests or you know, prototype testing and whatnot. So they clearly have a basis for it now, so that's good. Okay, this seems like maybe it's a little too aggressive here, maybe. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, it doesn't look bad. Coming straight down on top of it, essentially. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're getting, like, any meaningful gain in performance, though. That throttle response, though, looks... Oh, I know what I need to do. I think I know what I need to do. But let's see what it looks like. Yeah, throttle response definitely much more active. And how does it... Ooh. I mean, that's actually looking amazing. Yeah, that's looking great. That's looking super good. Okay. Yeah, that is exactly what you want to see, chat. Look at that. Tracking beautifully. Coming back, tracking. That's money. I think the only thing I need to change is to make sure our minimum doesn't go too slow. Because if you saw it right, we almost actually started to go up again. So that's because I have my set point on the altitude controller probably set too low. So let's see here. Because like, what do I have my set point for our altitude, target altitude? Where do I have that? Altitude controller, set gains, down here. Ah, yeah, that would do it. That would do it. So this should technically be like -1. Because we still want to descend, because basically what was happening is, you see here, we have a horizontal velocity above 1. So it was actually trying to target 0, which means that we were like never touching down. So yeah, we should definitely try to have maybe even that like set to -2 and this set to -4. That should allow us to be a little bit faster to the ground as we get closer to the ground. All right, just to make sure we never just end up hovering because we never actually hit 0. Everyone's upset over the new jet? I mean, maybe. The NGAD was flying from the 80s. The NGAD was flying from the 80s? No. Was it? I thought it was just like for the last 5 years or whatever. Like it was a project in 2016 was like when the original, I think, contract for figuring out a 6th gen fighter was, and then they actually got funded, or they then did like the next phase in 20 2019, something like that. I don't know. I don't remember the history behind it, but I don't think it's been too long. Unless what you're talking about is the F-22. Like the F-22 was designed in the 80s and then built in the 90s, right? Entered service in the 90s. I'm sure there are nerds already working on 8th or 9th gen fighters. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. I mean, when the United States has a $700 billion DoD budget, I'm sure we have a lot of things. I'm sure we already have space lasers, Chad. Like, what are you talking about? Yo, No Names coming in with that tier 1 resub on the Twitch side for 10 Kerbal years of support. Mr. No Names, thank you very much, my friend. Yes, salute to you. Hope you're doing well. All right, so that is, I mean, I'm stoked about that, chat. Like, look at this. So good. Tracking that line. I like it. I like it. Pad distance, yeah. And then we kind of, yeah, okay, that's fine. You know what this tells me? I wonder, I don't know if I want to do that though, chat. That's the only thing. Like I don't want to mess it up really, but, but do we try it? Now that we have, maybe, let's bump this back down to like 1.8. And then what if I add like a very small amount of integral action to the distance controller? Just a very small amount. Maybe. Because like you see that, chat? That tells me that we have a steady state error here. Actually, I need to get both lines in there. See that? We kind of have a steady state error. And so that's why we're not actually able to achieve like, you know, I don't think we'll ever be able to achieve with PID's 0 distance to the center of the pad. But that tells me we do need probably a little bit of integral. There was something else I wanted to do, right? Or was that it? And that's looking super good. All right, let's roll it back. Real quick though, chat, on the Twitch side, I'm going to run a short ad break. I do run manual ads on Twitch to get rid of all the pre-roll ads and the mid-roll ads that Twitch injects. So don't worry, stream is going to be here, pause, waiting for y'all to return. But yeah, until then, see y'all back on the Twitch side in a few minutes. A metric year, that's right, a metric year. 10 Kerbal years, that makes Jeb 20 years old now, you know it, 100%. Yeah, there are some people in here that have been around for like 30 Kerbal years. Yeah, it's crazy. Jeb's super old now. Do you know what is specific latent heat of fusion and vaporization? I do not. I do not know what that is, no. That is out of my purview. Let me see. Specific latent heat of fusion. It sounds like the required energy to actually achieve fusion is the amount of energy required to change the state of 1 kilogram of substance from a solid to a liquid. Oh, interesting. From a solid to a liquid adds its melting point without a change in temperature. Oh. Well, that's weird. Huh. Tied together with enthalpy or change in enthalpy. The amount of energy required to change the state of a substance from a solid to a liquid at its melting point without a change in temperature. Huh. Interesting. EJSA looking background, you know it. Yeah, EJ and I have gone back for probably a decade now. Probably a decade now. Yes. Yeah, he has the mission control, no doubt. Forgot about that existing. Which one? The fusion? Rip the high bay? Yeah, rip the high bay for sure. 100%. All right, Twitch should be back here momentarily. But yeah, we have Transporter 13 over here. We have the Firefly landing up there. We have the Crew 10 launch. We have over there the Orion capsule around the moon, and then right above it, Artemis 1. And then we have the New Glenn launch number 1. And then over here we have all of the SpaceX side. We have the Starship 5 landing, if I'm not mistaken, and then we have booster from flight test 5, and then we have up there Starship flight. No, I guess that would be flight 6 landing, flight 5 landing of Starship. Yeah, it's all a blur to me in terms of all the Starship stuff. It happens so flippin' fast. I was watching the SpaceX Flight 8 booster landing. I saw the booster was correcting itself like 3 seconds before catch. Did you see that? Yeah. Oh yeah, it's constantly catching or constantly correcting itself. Pretty interesting. EJ's my go-to for space content. Can't beat him, brutally honest. And like a lot of guys in the space community, he's always pro NASA. Oh yeah, NASA's the way to go. And yeah, EJ's been doing space news for what is it now? Since 2012. So yeah, no, there's no beating that guy. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, he's got the experience. He's got the experience. All right, let's see what we can do here, chat. So Twitch is back. Let's go ahead and reload. We're ringing it back and see what we can do. Go ahead and start our code. So I changed that. I added a teeny tiny little bit of integral action to our distance controller, and we'll see. Do you watch F1? I do watch F1. I most certainly do. Aha! Yeah, see, we got to be careful with the integral action. The integral action is not actually helping us here, which is funny because we're starting so far away. Yeah, we're adding too much. We're saturating our controller and now it's going positive. That's funny. See, like I said, you gotta be careful. Adding just a teeny tiny little bit of integral can be a detriment. So yeah, we're gonna not do that. Yeah, I think we're gonna just not do that at all. Hey, we touched down. That seemed good. We did touch down, actually. Oh yeah, that throttle response though, because we're on the hill, that's funny. The throttle response is a lot more shaky because we're on the hill and we're using surface altitude to get our basically set our throttle. And so because we were going down this hill and the surface altitude was changing, we were getting the oscillations there. That's fun. All right, well, let's roll it back. We're not going to do that, chat. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. Nope. I refuse. Instead of a higher KI, more KP for what? For which part? You like EJ and Rocket Guy equally? Oh, thanks, Terminator. Is it possible to land in the middle of the pad? Yes, for sure. I don't know if it's possible to do that with simple PIDs though. At least not with our current architecture. That's my guess anyways. Oh. For some reason, roll control is not working. Oh, gosh dang it, I changed the wrong number. Every time, chat. I did. I changed the wrong number. There we go. Yep, that should do it. Yep, I changed the wrong number. So we want no integral. There we go. No integral there. Perfect. My bad. Changing numbers without even looking. Looking pretty good though. The track on the throttle response. Do you have any particular F1 team you support? McLaren. McLaren's been my team for, oh gosh, however long I've been watching F1 for 12 years. No, more than 12 years. Gosh, I'm so old, chat. For a very long time. Probably 20 years. Oh, for horizontal, instead of higher KI, now a more AP. Yeah, we could do that. For the horizontal velocity controller, yeah, we could maybe do that. The heck did I change? Why you no work now? Oh, when I deleted the other one, I forgot to change it back. I'm sorry, chat, I'm sorry. Oh, it's trying to get back to the pad. I'm sorry. I deleted the derivative out of the wrong one. And so when I went to add it back, I added it to the other one. So, yep, just still screwing up the gains. Let me just Control Z and let's try this one more time. This should be back to working. And then we can get back to slight improvements if we want to. Otherwise, I'm honestly really happy with the performance. Speaking of the F1, it was painfully hot Saturday, sitting in the stands at Melbourne. Constant rain on Sunday wasn't too bad, to be honest. Was sitting right on grid spot 17. Oh, that's awesome, Karavec. Very nice. You're mad Lewis left Mercedes? Yeah, I get that for sure. Yep. What are those fires coming from the upper state? Yeah, RCS thrusters. They're the liquid fuel and oxidizer ones, the Werner engines. I mean, we're consistently getting it within the hexagon here, which is pretty nice, actually. When I Control Z, did that change the Yo, Charlie's gifting a tier 1 sub to Karavec. Much love to you. How are you doing tonight? Philanthropist detected. Yes, indeed. Oh, look at that. I can't get over how well that throttle response is tracking now. Look at that. Super clean. Actually not doing too bad. It's really not doing too bad at all. Yo, and Slubman coming in with their tier 1 sub on the Twitch side for 93 Kerbal years of support. Oh my god, you're an old Kerbal. What is the average lifespan of a Kerbal? Because Slubman, you are up there. How are you doing? All right, chat, that's pretty darn good. That's 37. And so you said to increase integral? Is that what you said? Or proportional? You said to increase proportional on the horizontal velocity controller. We can certainly give that a look-see to see if it helps or hurts. Horizontal velocity controller, there we go. Okay. And running it back. What is the objective for the test flight? Really just, we were tuning the controller because if you saw our stream on Wednesday, this was a little bit all over the place. I found the error in the code that was probably causing it to not be able to track very well. And then once we fix that, we can now tune the controller to get back to the pad. So we're kind of doing some tuning here and testing this to make sure our controller is actually working as it should. And then what we're going to end up doing here shortly as well is actually recover this and send out another one so we can get a different test from a different trajectory. Okay. Well, might have been a little too much. Like I said, we just keep going around the center. Uh-oh. Ah, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Don't even worry about it. So what was that? That was 24 meters from the pad. So we're getting pretty consistent inside 30 meters from the pad center on landing. So that's pretty good. What does it look like down here? Yeah, track still looks roughly the same. It kind of gets to a, well, okay. The reason why this then, I just realized this. The reason why this goes horizontal here and doesn't get any closer is that's because we then enter our vertical descent, which is essentially, hey, we're very close to the ground, null out all velocities and come straight down wherever you are. So that's actually why this happens. So what we actually want to look at is over here. Let me actually just go home. There we go. What we actually want to look at is further upstream to see how we're approaching, because that's distance versus horizontal velocity. So this is distance from the pad versus horizontal velocity. No, that's horizontal speed. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Oh, I see. I'm plotting two different things here. Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, distance to our pad, we actually start increasing it here. When is it increasing? Distance to the pad around 150. Yeah, you see. So we're at 22. Okay. And that's because our horizontal velocity, we're slowing down too much and pointing in the opposite direction. I think. I don't think we overshot that, did we? Either that or it's because we're coming around the side. Didn't seem bad though. Let's actually increase the integral in that to see if we can get this driven down faster for the velocity. All right, let's try it one more time. If this is better, great. If not, we revert, and that is that. Because I'm actually really happy with where it is right now. Have I reused a booster before? We have. We've reused 2 of them. We have reused 2 boosters so far. The only thing I don't like what happens if I do this? Yeah, that's what I thought. Roll control just gets totally out of control. And the reason why roll control gets out of control is because we're saturating. We're basically trying to control too many axes with very simple fins. And that, like, can't work very well. I think I'll run it back here. Looking pretty good, though. Slight overshoot. Yeah, let's run it back and see. There we go. Nice. All right, let's run it back and not do that in the middle of its trajectory. That might be better. I think turning on the roll control and having it start to spin out of control just completely messed up its tracking. It did correct and land, that is true. Yeah, I think that's too much integral. I think I'm gonna back it down to where it was, and we'll probably just run with that. we're maxing out, we're saturating the controller because of too much integral now. Okay, that's pretty much what I wanted to see. Let's run it back and test the gains that we. I think these are the gains that should work. I think they're the gains that should work. And then with that, like I said, we'll bring it back. We'll launch another one and do a couple of boost back burns from and starting at different altitudes with this code to make sure we're not tuning for a particular trajectory. Are you using the mod trajectories to calculate landing position, or does it not work like that? So I do have the trajectories mod, but no, I am not using that in the code. The code is very simply getting the latitude and longitude of the pad and our latitude and longitude projected from the booster to the ground, and then getting our linear distance between them. And based off of that linear distance, it's calculating a horizontal velocity for an approach an approach speed. Man, English is hard. So it's very simple, very kind of rudimentary. Yeah, I think that's our gain. I think those are our gains, chat. We're in the circle. We're in the circle. Oh yeah, 10 meters. We're within 10 meters, chat. Look at that. Nice. Velocity. The velocity. I can't get over how well the velocity is tracking. All right, I think that's where we're going to leave it. That's basically the best run we've had. And what we're going to do now is recover this vessel, and we're going to launch another vehicle, put it on a different trajectory, right? Different boost back, and do some tests with the code how it is right now, and see if with this different flight profile, it's going to do the exact same thing. I think that's safe enough for a drone ship. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if we had to make a drone ship the size of one of these hexagons over here, which I think is like 50 meters by 50 meters, something like that, I'm pretty happy with that, because we are fairly consistently over the last several runs, like within 20 meters of the center. So like our landing ellipse, our air dispersion is like 20 meters from the center. Pretty happy with that. Are you directly targeting the pad or an offset point? Directly targeting the pad. Yo, SpaceX is life. What is going on? Rating from the Twitch side. Much love to you. How are you doing? What were you doing today? How are you doing, SpaceX is life? Hope you're doing super good. Let's go ahead and recover that, and we're just gonna bring one on out and test it one more time. Yes, bring on the raid. Hope you guys are doing good. What are y'all up to? Or what were y'all up to, I should say. All right, so let's go ahead and just load the same one we have. There it is. Very nice, very nice. And let's just put it out on pad 1B again. Launch it. Played Juno New Origins for the first time today. Nice. Yeah, I know Juno. I haven't played it yet, but I know of it. I know of it. That's cool. Picked it up on sale. Oh, that's right. The summer sale, yeah, or the spring sale. Nice. 60% off. That seems pretty good. That seems pretty good for sure. All right, so for those of you just coming in from the raid from SpaceX's life, much appreciated. Hope y'all are doing fantastic this Friday evening. We have developed some Python code that interfaces with KSP, and we're going to test some automated launch and, of course, SpaceX style landing, RTLS style. So we'll see how it goes. I don't really know. The first thing we got to do is launch this, and this will be an automated launch from this vehicle. Actually, standby. We got to fuel it. That would probably be prudent of us to fuel the rocket before we actually try. They added parallax and it also has RSS. That's cool. Nice. Drink. All right, I got you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and hit the go button on our script here, and then I'm gonna be hands off, hopefully, up until Miko, and then yeah, we'll go from there. Add an offshore divert button. Yeah, it probably could do well with that. All right, there we go. Vehicles up, roll program. Oh, and it's 2.0. That's cool. Let me actually look as like, what does Juno even look like? Like, I know it's Juno New Origin. Yeah. Oh, wow. I see it with parallax. That does look really good. Interdasting. Huh. Yeah, I haven't looked at Juno in a while. That's looking pretty cool. Huh. I'll have to keep that open. Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe we'll do something with it. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Only thing lacking is clouds. Gotcha. They need the volumetric clouds update, right? You highly recommend. Juno is great, and they have coding built in. Ah. Coding with what though? Like KOS style of scripting language, or like Python or something? Yeah, I recently picked up what is it called? Archean, right? Is that how you pronounce it? I recently just picked that up. Kind of want to give that a try. It looks pretty good. Oh, the drag and drop blocks. Ah, I see. Yep, I'm familiar. All right, should be coming up on Nico. And 3, 2, 1, Nico. And good second stage ignition. So we should just be able to do something like that. Switch back. Control from here. And let that fly out. And we start our boost back burn. So this is manual right now. I do want to implement automated boost back burns at some point, but it's going to be a little bit of a development project. I don't know where to target. Let's try that right there. Maybe something like that. Maybe that might be an overshoot. I don't know, but let's see what happens. We're going to go ahead and F5 here. And then we're going to go ahead and get into a practical attitude for entry. Something like that, and we'll just leave it there. All right, I made a huge frigate in over 300,000 tons. Okay, I got it. That's awesome. The 1-4-5 chord progression, nice. Yeah, that's classy. Yeah, I looked it up after somebody suggested it in chat. Was it Wednesday? I think it was Wednesday. Somebody suggested it. And yeah, kind of really looks good. So maybe we'll try it out one day. It's an extremely optimized and bright future game. Yeah, it looks sick. I haven't played it yet. I literally just picked it up yesterday. So maybe we'll add it into the rotation at some point. Sea power, I want to add more sea power into it. If you guys are interested, that looks like that is a fun game. Do more scenarios and whatnot. But yeah, there's a lot of games I want to kind of start adding into it, like a rotation. It's very simple, but you can do pretty much anything. Nice, okay. What are your margins after landing? Like, are you leaving little to no fuel? You should design a lander with a hover slam, like full throttle all the way to the ground. Yeah, basically, Tay. After some testing, we essentially figured out that for a nominal trajectory of like 5 to maybe 8 metric tons to low Earth orbit, this thing needs around 1,440 units of fuel to do the boost back burn and landing. So it needs roughly 600 meters per second of delta V. And that should give us, a few like tens units of liquid fuel. Surviving Mars? I think I actually have that one in my library. Rule the Waves 3. Nice. Yep, all things are normal, in fact, Codeman. All things are normal. Oh, you know what I totally did not do, chat? I totally did not engage our landing script like a scrub. Let's see what happens. So I engaged it at 17, so this will be a good test to see if engaging it late like messes anything up. Hopefully it won't. We are tracking the pad. Pad is right below us now, pretty much. Starting to slow down. There we go. Pad's right below us. Landing gear deploy. There we go. that worked pretty well. Oh, that's 30 meters to the pad center. Like I said, if we can just always wind up in here, that's a pretty easy barge to build for the game, if I do say so. We'd be just slipping off the edge of the barge here. That's pretty good. Okay, I want to see what happens if we engage the code late, because like I said, what we were experiencing before was an integral windup problem with the PID we're using. Yeah, throttle response is still looking good. Throttle response is pretty stable. We're tracking our distance. Yeah, I got nothing, chat. Looking pretty good. But yeah, that was engaging at 17 kilometers altitude. So let's see what happens if we engage it at like, well, basically now at like, as soon as we're starting to come back through the atmosphere. It is implemented, Tay. I just don't know if we have enough gimbal. But it is implemented on trying to null out all horizontal velocity and then nulling out our angles as well. So it is currently implemented. I just don't think I give it enough time to settle, and I don't think we have enough gimbal authority on the one engine to do that. I think that's kind of what the problem is, but it lands up. It lands pretty fine. I guess it could always be better. But better is the enemy of good. We can assume it's a square barge and all is well. Exactly. Yeah. The round rocket goes on the square barge, chat. Is there a low pass filter on throttle? Feels like there should be. You know what? That's true. There could be. There isn't currently, but there actually probably should be. That's something I already have implemented as a class, and we could just add it in. It's actually maybe not a bad idea, names. It is already engaged. No, it's not already engaged. You know what? Let's hit the pause here and let's see what happens. So we should have digital filter. So yeah, we can have a low pass filter created and initialized. Okay. I should have it from somewhere else as well. Not there. Let me do LPF. Yeah, it is there. Okay, cool. I just want to get the exact code on how to use it. There it is. Yeah, that's what we want. Something like that. So let's add this up here into our init. This is going to be throttle, low pass filter, 4110. It's going to be order and clock rate. Yeah, that's fine for now. That might be not low enough, but we'll see. And then implementing it. Yeah, just low pass of that. Okay, cool. Just making sure. Pretty nice. We want our throttle response in mode 3 and in mode 4. So throttle is throttle command, throttle that here and there. And then same thing in 4 as well. Like I said, we might have to tune this a little bit just to see if this is actually gonna limit the bands, but couldn't do it. Yeah, just to smooth out jittery stuff, yeah. So instead of, well, I already deleted it, but instead of having those really, really fast spikes, it should have a very smooth. Oh, I didn't get it into the right, gosh. I was like, what is it doing? Like, see, this is why I want to implement my own flight controller, because I swear it does not seem like, it does not seem like the autopilot in KRPC, the stock autopilot, is able to do pitch, yaw, and roll combined maneuvers. It looks like it saturates pitch and yaw, leaving roll to be done last, or like some other combination. Like it only actuates 2 axes at a time. But that's what it was doing. It was trying to implement a roll and get aligned with the pad, so it was just like flailing around. Probably need to lower the stopping power on the roll control, because we found that doesn't actually really do anything. Where is that stopping? That's why it's rocking back and forth, because the roll control is too sensitive. All right, 2 kilometers downrange from the pad. Yeah, that right there needs to change. Probably to 0.8. We'll try something like that. But see, right now it's doing this when it should be trying to roll, and it's not rolling. Yeah, I really don't like that it does that. Yeah, see, it just saturates the controller for like no reason, which is really aggravating. So yeah, what's happening is it's trying to slow down because it's going too fast based off the controller, and that when it does that, pitch and yaw are being used, and then it doesn't use roll control for anything, when it should be rolling, pitching, and yawing, which is just, it's so silly. We really need to implement our own flight controller at some point. You see, we have 3 here, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't want to do it. By the way, how did that look for the filter? Oh, that seemed better, actually. Still have peaks, but it actually seems, oh, that actually seems much smoother. What does that do for our tracking, though? It worsens our tracking to be expected, but much smoother overall. Yeah, I'm happy with that. See how it smooths everything out? Before we were getting the fast oscillations, like the spikes, essentially. That's pretty good. I think I'll leave that. So I wonder... Because, like, I'm almost wondering if we should have a set point here that says don't change, like, the heading. if we're trying to control pitch. You know what? I want to try something like that real quick. Like I just want to see what happens with this. So if we do, if current heading, no, I'm sorry, if HV, if our current horizontal speed is less than, actually it should be the absolute value. If the absolute value of HV is greater than the absolute value of our distance controller output, right? 'Cause that's what we're trying to track here. Yeah, distance to pad output, but not the distance to the pad output. One second. I want to make sure I have this correct. So we have our outer loop, and our outer loop is going to be, we have pad target output here. I need to get into that controller. This is going to be a pain. Actually, maybe it doesn't actually need to be a pain, because I actually have them set up for that reason. So I need my distance controller. Yeah, I need my distance controller. Okay. Now we can do this. I think we can do this. Let's do hvel command, or hv command. Going to equal distance controller dot update based on current distance to pad. I think that does the same thing that I want it to. And then hv command. So if our horizontal velocity is higher than our commanded horizontal velocity, which means that we're then going to be trying to slow down, we then want this. Yeah. I want it to be float nan, right? Isn't that how we... Yeah, it should be float nan. Else. Drawing controller heading. So I want to see if this works. Because essentially what it's saying, that if you're trying to now pitch back to try and reduce our horizontal velocity towards the pad, don't change the heading, only change pitch and roll. I want to see if I'm thinking about this correctly, and our autopilot here, this, which is stock to the KRPC package, that it can only execute 2 axes of control at a time. Because what I think is happening, which is why we're saturating like we are, is that we're going past our desired horizontal velocity here, meaning that we're trying to then slow down and not approach the pad so quickly, where it essentially has to command pitch and yaw as we're flying over the pad, and it leaves roll completely unchanged. So we're basically saturating the controller, not using the wings to our advantage. I think that might be happening. I want to see what that does real quick. Let's roll it back. Yeah, we can roll it back and see what's up. So now if we're trying to slow down, we just say, hey, keep the target heading the same. Don't even worry about it. All right, that seems pretty good. All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Let's go ahead and F5 from here as well. And we'll go ahead and start our landing script. So where are we at with trajectories right now? Okay. So we're actually kind of far down range at the moment. Velocity greater than velocity actual? Yeah. No, it should be the other way around, right? Our velocity actual, whenever it's greater than our desired velocity. So if we're slowing down. We'll see. We'll see if this does it as we want. And right now I want to see from the trajectories mod what our actual landing point looks like. Because that's, our landing point's like right there. So we don't have too far to go here. Oh. Yeah, I wonder. The Starship expansion project? I actually just want to make our own Starship, you know? I think that'd be really cool. All right, see our point here is going further down range away from the pad now. So we should start, as we're approaching, start to slow down. We're looking good so far, I think. Okay, we should start slowing down here. Interesting. That doesn't make any sense, chat. I'm just gonna put it out there right now. So that did not work, in fact. It did not work as I wanted it to. But I do know the other thing I changed, which could be a problem. And I'd be interested to see if that change actually did make the problem. Hey, what's up, BioRoots? How are you doing? Oh, well, if you're just coming in now, I mean, we were landing pretty consistently within 20 meters of the pad. But we're changing things, and I need to just not change things. Posture check, I got you. Still an impressive landing? Yeah, I guess. All right. Sorry, our landing code. It uses 3 skippers. Better than you can do? Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, like I said, I keep changing things, and that's messing us up. Because I want to see now what happens. I lowered our sensitivity on our roll control, and then I complained about it not rolling. I want to see if increasing the sensitivity on the roll control means it'll roll again. That small oversight, perhaps on me, but we'll see. The reason why I reduced my roll sensitivity is because when we're kind of flying through the atmosphere like this, it gets these roll oscillations because the roll is too sensitive. What I probably need to do is say, hey, while the booster is, you know, higher than, say, I don't know, 20 kilometers, reduce roll sensitivity, and then if we're below 20 kilometers, meaning that we're actually flying towards the pad, then increase sensitivity again. Is one engine not enough? No, it is not enough. Nope. It is not enough. Well, I mean, I guess it technically is, but we would be burning so much higher. That's why we go 3 down to 1, because we can get that initial stopping power that's needed, and then we can cut down to 1 for more efficiency. See, now would be a good time to like turn on the sensitive roll control, essentially. So see, we're like really overshooting here. Now we should be trying to come back to it. It seems like we are. That's good. Yeah, see? The roll control, I think, was it the whole time. Just trying to turn around now. Tracking the pad. I need to not overshoot so much, though. That's probably true. Yeah, see, this is better. So it is rolling, so that's good. Very nice. All right, so I think I saw what I needed to do there. I think if we go past... Yeah, I think if we go past the... How do I figure that out, though? If we go past, like, overshoot, then I need to flip roll 180 degrees, so that way it doesn't try to rotate all the way around. Gosh, how do we do that? The landing marker made you think of Wally. Nice. I think that's what I need to do, right? Because, okay, so what's happening is if we have our landing zone, right? Our landing zone down here. As we're coming over the top of it and we overshoot, right? If this is our kind of like 0 point, not only is it trying to turn, or like, not only is it trying to pitch back to come back to land, right? It's also trying to come back and then rotate 180 degrees in order to line up its axes with respect to the pad. What I think I need to do is just say, hey, you know, wings should be set to, you know, 0 degrees, like level going this way, and then if we ever pass the pad, set wings to be 180 degrees, so that way it doesn't just try to do a 180 degree spin. It should only use pitch to try and come back, right? That I think needs to happen. Keep heading in absolute values. Well, heading is compass heading, unfortunately, so I can't do that. Can I do that? What would that do? No, because compass heading. And heading, unfortunately, is... Yeah, unfortunately, it's not yaw, right? It's heading. It's compass heading. Because if we always just said, hey, heading is always, like, don't worry about the heading, then as we pitch back, we're going to have a heading going essentially 90 degrees when we were originally going 270 degrees. And so we can't do that. I just need to figure out how do I understand. I think that's the key. How do I understand if we go past? If we start increasing, that might be simple. If we start increasing, right? It's not guaranteed though. I essentially just need to figure out, when do we pass the pad? You get a target bearing? Yeah. Compare calculated trajectory. I mean, that would be, yeah, see, I'm looking for like a very simple implementation, because we can do that, and that is what I want to do in the near future. Like in the near future, we should be able to automate our boost back burn and use that estimation process to always be able to track our desired trajectory. That's going to be a bit of a heavy lift though. I'm just wondering if there's like a simple few lines of code that I can implement here to where, you know, no matter where we initiate our code, we always are able to land back at the pad. I wonder what would happen if I just say, if HV goes positive, sorry, if our distance starts going positive, that means that we're on the far side of the pad, because we're now increasing our distance. Then roll is 180. And what that means is, like, instead of flying wings level like this, we're going to be flying wings level like this. But that will work because we're actually going to be coming back towards the pad. So the 180 degrees actually is good. But then how do I skip it to where it no longer does that again? What I don't want it to do, right, is it goes past the pad, so we flip it 180, but then eventually it starts going towards the pad again, and then it wants to flip back to 0. We could go a positive distance and be undershooting. How? Yeah, exactly, could, man. I need a way to, like, track that. Like, maybe... I'm thinking of something here, chat. Let's do, overshoot flag is going to equal false. And then here... for our roll, if overshoot, I'm sorry, well, I do need that. I need two things here. I need two checks and balances. I can actually do it here as well. No, not here. We'll do it here with after HV. Oh no, I could. Let's see, if elapsed if elapsed time is greater than 10 seconds and HV is greater than 0, overshoot flag equals true. Else if overshoot flag equal or is true, or else overshoot flag. How do I want to do this to reset it? Let's not worry about resetting it for now. It's just going to muddy things up. And then here, if overshoot flag, or if not, right, for false. If not overshoot flag, that's fine. It can be the positive overshoot flag. We want vessel.autopilot target roll equal to 180. I think this will work, right, Chad? So if we overshoot, change it to 180, and then don't worry about it ever again. Else, keep it wings level 0. And then that overshoot occurs if we ever start having a positive horizontal velocity, meaning we're going away from the pad. I think that's right. I think that's right. Yeah, I know, Terrace. But I'm hopeful that's an edge case that we don't have to worry about right now. Let's see. Let's just see if this works. The simple test for an overshoot. Yeah, we could definitely get into Monte Carlo. I don't think you would have to. There's probably an analytical solution that you could do with that. Or use like an Euler estimator or something. All right, let's go ahead and start. So, in a perfect world, our horizontal velocity should never start going positive unless we actually overshoot. In a perfect world, of course. Right now it seems good. And it is running through that test here. Oh yeah, we have our roll doing our roll things here. Like I said, that's the other thing to implement, is to actually schedule our roll sensitivity. It's your OCD. Hey, I understand. And it's probably good that we do eventually address those, but for now, I'm hoping that this simple thing should take care of an overshoot, because realistically, right, this thing should only overshoot when it's fairly close to the ground, where I don't think we would have time to oops. I think me pausing it stopped the calculations for a second, maybe. Yeah, me pausing it definitely did something. Did it calculate a positive horizontal velocity with that? It kind of looks like that's what it did. Son of a gun. Don't pause it, chat. Don't pause it. That's ruined. That's a ruined test. All right, I got it. Don't pause it. Understood. That's so funny. It had a positive value there somewhere after. You think it hit the case? No, it didn't. I mean, if it did, then that would be super coincidental that it happened right after stopping the pause button. I guess we go again and make sure that that is actually edge case. Otherwise, I don't think that should have been it. Because otherwise, that would be a perfect coincidence that it happened right after unpausing it from pausing it. Yeah, that's what I want to do next, Codeman, is check the, basically have a cooldown for the flip maneuver, for the flipping. Let's see how this goes. Because yeah, this should flip, but because we're never actually resetting the overshoot flag, or we're not having another check, once our horizontal velocity goes negative again, when we start moving back towards the pad, it'll start flipping again. It'll try to do a 180-degree turn again, which we don't want to do, most likely. So far, so good. We're 5 kilometers downrange. Okay, still looking good. Horizontal velocity is at negative 125, means we're moving towards the pad still. Okay, prepare for overshoot. For 900 meters. Starting to slow down, or try to slow down. 200 meters from the pad. There it is. Yep, see now it's trying to rotate back because we're moving towards the pad again. That's funny. So that seemed to work. I just need to make sure we have like a cooldown or another check for that. Boop. All right. So yeah. So that actually did work. Hard landing, yeah, it's fine. It was just trying to do too much. That having it rotate, trying to rotate down was too much. Yeah, see, but we know we have that fix if we actually just get it to track the pad correctly. But yeah, that was pretty good. So we know that that worked. The overshoot flag worked, but I need to figure out a way to, once we overshoot, then basically have a cooldown like you said, Codeman. So how do I want to do that? We know that we can detect the overshoot, and that's good. But then we shouldn't have this actually happen. We could just use a simple counter, I guess. Like if overshoot flag is true, have the counter increase by 1. and then reset the overshoot and then check for this again, like after we wait a certain amount of time. Does it detect overshoot before crossing over the target? No. I mean, not currently. If we wanted to do that, we would have to retune the controller, right? You know? I wonder if that happens because when we tuned our distance controller, we increased it from what it was before, and so now it's too aggressive. So it was working... This used to be 0.17. I wonder if that helps, because that would help it slow down sooner, because we would be commanding a slower velocity. I wonder. You know, without changing anything else, I want to see what that does. So we'll leave it how it is right now, because we know that that at least works. Now I wonder if this prevents it from overshooting. I wonder if it prevents it from overshooting. I'm curious. Probably still good to have the overshoot detection. Yeah, we could definitely at least predict the trajectory that it's on. Like predict its current landing zone. Like we could definitely get that, like predict its current landing zone. That actually might not be a bad idea. That might be a good thing to do after our boost back burn, because I think I want to set up my boost back burn to do that same thing. The boost back burn will basically say, hey, based on our current burn and our current trajectory, where is our impact point? And once that impact point basically reaches the desired landing point, stop. So we could do that for our coast phase as well, to make sure, hey, while we're just flying through the atmosphere like this, if we start to go beyond, then, you know, slow down, essentially. Yeah, it could be interesting. I mean, that could be a very simple way to do it. It's going to be a little bit of a lift, though. It's going to take some coding to do all that, to get the estimator done. Like I said, right now what I just want to do is make sure we have something that works, right? Good, better, best sort of thing. So that way we can start getting into more mission mode. So that way we can actually start getting more money, so we can unlock bigger things, so we can have more stuff to automate, you know? Like a bigger rocket that can go farther and whatnot. See, right now we're still, our downrange distance isn't that far, but we're still undershooting the pad here, which is good. But as we get into the thicker atmosphere and we try to keep pitching up, just like right about now, we're overshooting the pad technically. So it'd be good to be able to detect that and then say, hey, okay, we need to start slowing down a little bit actually. And that shouldn't be too hard to do. Just like I said, it's gonna be more than just doing some minor tuning to our current code setup, which is not really what I'm willing to do at the moment. There we go, trying to slow down, trying to slow down, trying to slow down. Yeah, we had positive, so now it's saturating because it can't rotate. Yeah, see, I hate that about the controller, chat. You see, what it would do is, if it was smart, is it would rotate to align itself along the proper flight azimuth and then start worrying about pitch and heading. But right now, it doesn't do that. It just yaws and pitches without worrying about roll until, I don't know, until it's too late. Yeah. That's kind of a bummer, actually. So we know the vehicle tracks the velocity really well. But what we need to, I guess, tune now for these high returns is the distance controller. Distance controller is still too aggressive. It'd be pretty simple just to take over roll with a new control style. Yeah, exactly. Like if we build out our own flight controller, we could have complete control over what gets executed. And we could actually do optimal rotations based on the vehicle axis, which would be pretty good. Air brakes? Yeah, we could do air brakes, that's true. Yeah, the other thing actually that we can do, right, chat, just to like force it, is if we get within a certain distance and if we're going a certain velocity at that distance, then we tell it to essentially try to just go vertical. So if we're like flying like this, if we just tell it to go vertical, it'll like try to slow down. I mean, that's actually maybe the simplest method to do. Instead of like trying to detect an overshoot and whatnot, just say, hey, if you're going faster than, say, I don't know, 50 meters per second in the horizontal downrange axis, and you're within, 200 meters of the pad, maybe you should try to go vertical and slow down. That seems like you're approaching probably too quickly. Could also add altitude in there as well. Maybe that's just the simple check. Now that I'm thinking about it, to say, hey, if you're going more than 50 meters per second when you're within 200 meters of the pad and you're higher than, say, 5 kilometers, maybe you should start slowing down to anticipate that. Either that, or the real proper way to do that is, like I said, just to tune the controller, because the controller should be able to do that on the fly. But it is about tuning the controller, because see, we just overshot and now we're starting to slow down. We already overshot too much. And see, these would be the correct inputs if it would actually roll, but it doesn't want to roll. And that's what's so aggravating to me. Yeah, these would be the correct inputs if it would roll and realign. Interdasting. What happens if we increase our derivative? If we increase our derivative, that should help dampen out and anticipate the overshoot. That actually might be the way to do it, so long as it's not too aggressive. You could also implement gain scheduling here as well, which not a bad idea. Yeah, maybe you could, man. Yeah, I'm fairly convinced it's just a matter of the distance controller now. Because from what happened there, the distance controller is just being too aggressive. It takes way too long for it to start trying to slow down, essentially. And honestly, like I said, maybe this is all for nothing, because if we just work on automating our boost back burn, then we can essentially set up our boost back burn to get us on like a pretty similar trajectory every time. to where, hey, we no longer will ever actually overshoot. We'll always undershoot, and therefore the code will always work, right? If we always start from a relatively safe position, like similar position, I mean, similar state. Because right now I'm manually boosting back and flying the booster back after Miko, and so that's going to get us a different trajectory every time. I don't know, like I said, there's many improvements that we can make. I just don't want to spend too much time doing this. Like, this is probably gonna be the last stream we do. We just, you know, do this and we'll figure out something. Because I want to get back into running missions so we can get the cash monies so we can start working on other stuff as well. What about a toggle elevon on the lower fins? A toggle, what do you mean? Oh, you mean like have another fin set for the roll control sort of thing? I thought about that. I was really hoping that this extra set of thrusters here that are only set to roll control would be enough. But yeah, maybe we do just need to implement fins for roll control as well. Alright, so technically we have already overshot. And we're still commanding 250 meters per second towards the pad. There it goes. Now it's trying to slow down. But we're already way over. And see, it just will not roll. Roll, please. Roll towards the pad. That's all I beg of you. But you don't want to do it. I'm full inputting manual roll control right now, and it's not doing anything. It refuses. Is this vessel in Kerbal X? I don't think this one is, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I think its little brother is. I know, right? Roll, damn you. And nice and easy touchdown. Skirt, skirt. Yeah. So yeah, increasing derivative did absolutely nothing there. Funny enough. Yeah, and it's tracking. It is tracking the velocity. That's distance to pad, horizontal speed. Horizontal speed. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. But see, it takes so long. It takes so long. So this is at this point. Yeah, and see, we hit a minimum here and we start going away from the pad again. That's what's happening there. It just takes so long. Yeah, we hit that saddle point and then we start moving away. So how, again, do we combat that? Like I said, it could just be our distance controller, but I think the actual move is to make sure that we always have our trajectory set up correctly. Yeah, I honestly think that's it. I think we just need to make sure we have our trajectory set up better. So what happens if we do that? What happens if we slow down and purposefully undershoot? Because, I mean, technically speaking, that's what SpaceX does. They always undershoot, right? And then they fly in the booster. And that does simplify everything. Let's see what we can do with that. They're going to pulse the engines here just to try and get us a slight undershoot. Like, kind of like inline there. And what does that do? So if we try to aim for basically the X being in line with that edge of the coast there, what happens? All right, let's go ahead and F5. Well, let's not F5. So I can change this up while we're testing. But need this version of the craft? Yeah, gotcha. I'll put it in Discord for the moment and see if I can't remember to upload it later. If I can find it, saves, Spaceworks, tips, SPA, actually it's from the VAB. And Minerva 2R. From the VAB, where is it? The code's running, by the way, so far so good. Oh, there it is, launch. Yep. Here we go. On the Discord. Alright, well, like I said, we'll see just what it's going to do here. So what I've done is purposefully undershot, you know, performed an overshoot. And let's see what happens. See, like, this is already looking way, I mean, honestly, right, it's looking way better because the booster now has to work to achieve an overshoot, whereas before it was basically already on an overshoot trajectory. So yeah, kind of happy with this so far. So it is overshooting a little bit, and that's fine because as it gets closer, it should start slowing down. Either that, or like I said, the there we go. Slow it down, baby. Yeah, I think our distance controller is a little bit too aggressive now that I'm seeing it like this. Yeah, our distance controller is way too aggressive. That's what's happening. Which is interesting, if I do say so. I think that low pass filter is doing too much work. Yeah, that low pass filter is doing too much. Let's try that. I think that might actually be slowing it down, but we'll see. Roll less than 90. Yeah, exactly. Yep, it would definitely be more efficient, but we have to get the wings level again. Okay. I just want to see, so what happens now if I change this to 5 instead of 7? Yeah, that's just, it's just commanding too much. Commanding too much, unfortunately. All right. Shoot for the ideal. Yeah, exactly. Don't solve for, don't be solving for a series of functions. Yes, indeed. I mean, this is fine because we haven't touched the distance controller in a long time. And if we can like set this up to always be implemented at the same time, because what we were doing, which is why this was probably working previously, is we were starting it lower in the atmosphere instead of right after boost back burn, because we were hitting those integral windup issues. But now that we're not hitting those integral windup issues, we should make it work consistently for this kind of condition where we're really high in the atmosphere when we do our boost, after doing our boost back. So maybe, yeah, maybe it's just that we need to tune our distance controller here. And you know what? I forgot to do our minor correction, so let's do that. We'll get it to something like that, where that X is just touching the coastline. And we'll see what happens. So yeah, if it's just a matter of tuning our distance controller now, totally okay with that. Because we haven't touched that. Man, I don't know. We probably haven't touched that since we were working with the DCX. Those actually might be the DCX values. Are they? Let me see. DCX. No, not quite. Not quite the same as DCX, but actually very similar. Actually, no, yeah, the DCX vehicle was way lower. We actually increased this a lot, maybe too much even. So we'll see. After this, we could try bringing it back down to what the DCX had, which might be way less aggressive. Because right now it's at 15% of our error if we go by just the proportional. And our error right now is 5,000 meters. So that would be commanding 750. So it wouldn't even start slowing down until it hits. It wouldn't even start slowing down until it gets within a kilometer. And that is exactly what it's doing. Ah, okay. Well, I should have been looking at that earlier, but that makes complete and total sense right now as to why we're overshooting. So what if we were at 10%, right? Because if we were at 0.1 times, yeah, that actually would be really good. Because right now, our DCX uses 9% on our proportional game. If we did that times, like, say, 1,000, that's obviously going to be 90. So it would be commanding 90 at 1,000. It's actually not too bad. Oh, well, we'll see what happens here. There it goes. Hey, look at that, chat. It finally got into a place where it could roll. Yeah, the distance controller is just too aggressive. How about that? Boop. Yeah, that's all it was. That's all it was. Let me check that throttle response as well, because oops, that was not what I meant to do. Yeah, okay, so that's too much. So let's bring it back up just a small amount. We'll cut it in the middle and see what that does. Okay. But yeah, that I think we need to do. So let's actually, because we're basically only using a proportional controller right now to set our desired horizontal velocity. So we can always do it like this, which is say, hey, at what velocity do we want to be? Okay, so if we were, time to get the calculator out, chat. That's my phone. Let me actually use a handy dandy calculator. Okay, so if we are going, so if we use like 10s, that'd be commanding 100 meters per second at 1 kilometer. Then we would be closing that distance at, well, within 10 seconds. Like, would that be enough time? Because right now we're closing at 150 and we're overshooting. But yeah, let's bring that down to 0, and I want to see what happens. Because remember, the DCX was using 0.9. Yeah, the DCX was using 0.9. Now, to be fair to the DCX, it had a lot more body lift. So it needed, like, not nearly as an aggressive controller. This one does not have nearly as much body lift. But it's still essentially the same, right? In terms of, like, we need to figure out how much velocity should we be commanding at a certain distance away from the pad. That's essentially what we're doing with this proportional controller. So yeah, you know what? Let's revert that and see. So we're going to try 10%. So that would basically be saying, hey, we're going to command 100 meters per second when we are 1,000 meters away from the pad, which means we should approach the pad within 10 seconds. Is that too aggressive or not aggressive enough at that point? That's what we need to figure out, because we're going to base it off of our, essentially what our lift to drag ratio is of this vehicle. And again, let's just make sure we kind of do the same thing. So if we're always aligning ourselves with that point there, right on the edge of the coastline for our boost back burn. Because that would be a good, well, I guess for going this way, right? For going a 90-degree insertion, that would be a pretty good point, I think, to always aim for, touching the coastline. Because even if we're coming up from this way, we could always make sure that our X goes through that point. It's probably a good place to aim for. All right, now we just let it coast, see what happens. But I'm glad we figured that out. So the, well, I should say I'm glad that we figured out the problems that we were having with the integral windup and implementing that back in so the controller is more responsive and not diverging exponentially. So that was good. That was the first mistake. And then fixing that essentially fixed our controller. So now we can actually tune it correctly and command the correct amount of velocity that we need. You could solve for the inequality because you want the case to initialize at v actual greater than v desired. Then you just need a function to compute VA minus VD equals 0. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I have to think about that one in terms of how to implement it in full. All right, looking good. We're 3 kilometers downrange, still commanding 250 meters per second. That's what it should be doing, of course. Oh, that's working beautifully now. Okay. Yeah, it's working really good. It is, because it's just a simple proportional. Should start slowing down here. There it goes, slowing down. Look at that. Oh, that's actually really good. That was it. Yeah, it was just tuning the distance controller. That's all it was. It just had to tune that one controller. We were being way too aggressive for this vehicle. Probably implement a gain scheduling, actually. Because did y'all see that? Now it's not quite aggressive enough when we get too close. There we go. Yeah. Now it's a very simple matter of gain scheduling. Ah, very nice. So like the approach is good, and then once we are, I don't know, commanding. Yeah, how much were we commanding there at the end, right? We were commanding like 8 meters per second. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. We're in the wrong mode. Let me go up here. So you see at 1500 meters away from the pad, we're commanding 150 meters per second approach. And so that seems to do really good. We can actually maybe even be just slightly more aggressive, right? Slightly more aggressive, I think. And that might actually even us out. Because see, we then got to the point where we were basically commanding 15 meters per second, but we were still 150 meters away. Where here, it would actually probably be good or behoove us to have more aggressive velocities commanded. Is mission control make the rocket go or the crew? Wait. What are you saying, Space? Nice landing, getting closer indeed. Yeah, at least we stopped the overshoot, which is good. Is mission control making the rocket go or the crew? Oh, I see. There's no crew on board this rocket, if that's what you're saying. Is it worth while to get a Steam Deck? You know, I don't know. I don't have a Steam Deck, so for me, no. But I don't. If somebody else knows if it's worthwhile to get a Steam Deck, yeah, I think that's good. Let's actually implement telemetry. Let's see here. So mode 1, yes, good. I want horizontal velocity. No. Yes. Horizontal velocity. No, I want the outer loop. Aha! That's right, I want the outer loop again. Do I have that implemented somewhere? I did, but not anymore, right? I did, but not anymore. You've played a bit of KSP on Steam Deck? Nice. You really want one? That's fair. I mean, it sounds cool. So what do I want to do here? We need to get the distance controller and the output from the distance controller. Yeah, let's do that. So let me make horizontal velocity command is going to equal distance controller dot update with respect to our distance to the pad. Good. And then we can say if HV command is less than, say, at that point, if we're commanding something lower than like 30, probably 30 meters per second. Oh wait, it's going to be commanding negative though. So if HV command is greater, greater than negative 30, then we want our pad targeting PID dot inner loop PID dot set gains. No, I'm sorry, I want the outer loop, not the inner loop. There we go. That set gains P is going to be 0. Maybe 2. Be a little bit more aggressive if we're down that low. I equals 0. D equals 0.0 or 0.1, 0.01. Whatever the distance controller is. Yeah, 0.01. All right, let's do terminal guidance flag false, and then this, and not terminal guidance flag. Do that, and then set terminal guidance flag equal to true, and there we go. All right, I want to try that. Apply terminal guidance gain scheduling for pad tracking. Yeah, that could be good. That could be good. We'll see. How much does the Steam Deck cost? That I do not know. All right, I want to see if this gain scheduling works, because then that could be the final solution to our problem. So not only are we not going to undershoot, but then once we get close enough, it'll start being more aggressive to really try and get to the pad. Once we've basically guaranteed that we're not going to undershoot or overshoot. Worth a shot. Oh, and before I do that, I want to print changed gains. Good. just to make sure I can see that, to make sure that the gain scheduling works. And there we go. There's no pollution on Kerbal. We know that they live in a utopia. Yeah, exactly. Biggest perk for me was bridging a big chunk of my Steam library to your couch. That's cool. Yeah, that's actually really... I can definitely see the desire for that, yeah. All right, ideally this will be the last one if this works this on the first go around. Like I might have to tune the like when the terminal guidance gets injected, but oh yeah, and the other thing is let's do a slight change of our trajectory here and blam, that seems good. Takes so long to coast. Could have the couch move to the computer. That's true. That is the big brain right there. Five head move. Okay, now we're starting to fly towards the pad. That's good. We're 3,600 meters away, downrange. All right, there it is, starting to decelerate or command a smaller velocity, I guess I should say. Now we should start slowing down. There it goes, slowing down. Trying to avoid the overshoot. Looking good. Oh, and we changed the gains. There it is. It's more aggressive. Might be slightly too aggressive. Slightly too aggressive on that gain scheduling. But hey, we're back to being inside the hexagon. That's good. That's pretty good. All right, so let's change the gain scheduling to not be 20%. Probably more like 17% like it was. Maybe even 15. So where do I have that flag? There it is. So let's change that to 1.5. Seems good, and we go again. I mean, we're so close, chat. And then, like I said, I want to probably try a... Well, no. It should be good. We basically know if we can get to this point every time, then it'd be no problem. Oh yeah, that's one thing I wanted to change while we're at it. Let's do roll gain switch those faults. Yeah. Actually, you know what? We can just do it up here, actually. So if not roll switch. And what do I want to do? And altitude. Oh yeah, we can do it below that. Okay. Do it below telemetry. And altitude is greater than, less than 25,000 meters. It's the stopping time. Where do I implement that? There it is. So 1.8. Yeah, I want that here. And then up here, I almost want no roll control. Call that 0.5 like the other ones. That way it doesn't rock back and forth too much. Okay, that should work. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure, TF. Well, okay. I don't know about sub-meter. I don't know about sub-meter specifically, but yeah, we can definitely get it to be, I think, more like SpaceX, where we can actually get within maybe 10 meters every time. Maybe even closer than that. I honestly don't know. I mean, we could get probably sub-meter accuracy if we go the, like, you know, really in-depth optimal convex programming approach that SpaceX probably uses. But yeah, we definitely could. Not with PIDs, I don't think, though. This is going to be requiring our own flight controller implementation and whatnot, like I was talking about. Start catching it with the chopsticks? Yeah, exactly. We're going to need some pretty big chopsticks at the moment. ISS games are good? That's cool. Starting to feel it, chat. Not gonna be able to do too many more test flights here. Forgot to do our trajectory change here. Yeah, something like that seems good. See, the roll is not rocking back and forth so much. And so hopefully then once we get with below 25 kilometers, when it actually needs to start roll controlling or having a more sensitive roll, that will switch over. The little tiny arms, yeah. The T-Rex, yeah, not Mechzilla, the T-Rex. Okay, there we go, flying it towards. Have a slight overshoot now, but we're now starting to command slower velocities, and now we should be slowing down. There it goes. Bringing it back. Roll control is looking good. Stable. Gain has changed, being a little bit more aggressive. It's interesting that it wasn't lining up perfectly with the pad in terms of the heading. Did I change the heading or anything like that? I don't think so. I don't think so. Where's our heading controller? No, we're just getting heading from our compass heading here. So that none of that has changed. It's just interesting that it's not able to like line up perfectly there. I'm getting heading here just from their compass heading. But anyways, that definitely avoided the That definitely avoided the overshoot, which I'm pretty happy with. And I think if we can just start working on our boost back automation, so our boost back always gets us within a pretty good vicinity, I think that's good. I really think that's probably going to be good. We've done 3 different edges of the landing. I know. Right now, we're pretty consistently within, what is that? 80 meters from the pad distance, 80 meters. It can definitely get better, though. Yeah, if I can automate boost back so we're always getting to the pad, that's got to be the way to do this. Is this a mod? I am using mods, yes. Yeah, not too bad, right? Not too bad. I can't revert, of course. Let's recover. And let's launch it again. Yeah, it's tracking super good. Yeah, I think it's just all about the boost back burn, because right, the boost back burn basically sets you up when you're heading and whatnot. I'm pretty happy with it, honestly. Let's go here and launch another one. Will landing gear help? It has landing gear. I made landing gear out of robotics. Right now, what we're trying to do is see if we can't make it back to the pad a little bit more accurately, and I think that's going to come from just doing the boost back burn better, like automating that. It is becoming very consistent, that's true. But again, like I said, I want to make sure that our consistency is actually really consistent for a wide variety of trajectories, and we're not tuning this just for one initial condition. That would be bad. All right. Yeah, eventually, Terminator. Yeah, I want it to be completely hands-off. Eventually. That's why we're doing this step by step. Oh, that is the wrong code. So this is automated launch. The launch is at least fully hands-off all the way up through Miko. And then we got to implement an autonomous boost back burn, and then landing we have. So the thing that's missing is the boost back burn. That's our next thing to automate. How do you go about automating boost back? My thought process is essentially using your orbital parameters, even though we're on a suborbital trajectory, right? We still have orbital parameters. And then you could basically figure out your coast time until you hit like your impact point, and essentially simulating that. So then that gets you your impact point, and then you have your heading towards the pad. We already have that. We already calculate our heading towards the pad. So then based on changing your heading towards the pad to align with the pad, and then calculating this point right here in your trajectory, calculating that impact point, basically go until you meet, go until you're within a certain distance from the pad to that impact point. I think that's a fairly good way to do it. The other thing that honestly would make this so much easier is just stop using latitude and longitude and start targeting a 3-dimensional point, right? Because essentially what we're trying to do right now is this, right? We have our pad and we have our booster starting at some point, and we are basically saying, hey, don't worry about this, right? Don't worry about your Z spacing. Only worry about essentially, oops, that was the wrong one. Essentially worry about this, right? Your downrange distance, and try to achieve a horizontal velocity such that you get to the pad. And then of course we automatically lose altitude in the process, so we don't really control our Z axis or altitude. if we really wanted to be accurate, and what I think we're going to be required to do here is start targeting a spot above the pad and almost implement like a corridor, you know, like almost like waypoints, right? Like a think a landing approach for an airplane. All right, so that was definitely an overshoot. That was my bad. Like I said, the boost back burn that we're doing now is manual. This would be the next thing I would want to automate. Okay. And we would be able to switch back to our first stage or second stage and fly that mostly into orbit, then switch back to this. So it should be good. Oh, very good names. We are running for the landing Minerva-landing.py. Make rocket land Copilot. Yeah, just get some GitHub Copilot in here. All right, let's see what we got. Go ahead and gauge it. 50 kilometers. Oh, sorry, that was the incorrect script. And now we're, yep. My bad, chat. Stand by. I hope we have enough Delta V for this. I don't know if we're gonna have enough Delta V for this. I didn't auto save it, or I didn't quick save it. How are we doing? We might be okay. Something like that. All right, let's get the right code working now. Let's engage that correct code. There we go. They are automatic. They're automatic, Space. Coding is magic to you? Yeah, I know, right? How about for launch? Minerva 2-R-new for launching off of a new pad. Minerva 2R new. See, I don't know why it doesn't try to line up with the pad better. Like, its heading is off, technically speaking, so it should be implementing some yaw. But no. Okay, there's our overshoot, that's fine, but we're starting to command slower velocities, so we're now slowing down. Yeah, the roll was off. See, every time the roll is off, it doesn't control. It always aims backwards, which is so weird to me. At least, like we said, we are consistent. Consistently bat. No, I'm just kidding. Oh man. Interesting. Yeah, I honestly don't know why the yaw is not working appropriately now. Because we have the compass heading, and that should be correct. Yeah, it just doesn't want to like aim to the pad perfectly. Even when it's far away. and I'm not sure exactly why. If it doesn't have a good enough separation from that distance. I don't know, it's weird to me. Firefly installed? Yes, Firefly is installed. Hey, what's up, Harry? How are you doing? Yeah, like truly the I really feel like something is not actuating appropriately. I know, right, Hawk? That would be super nice. Absolutely. Oh man, you know what I just realized too after you said that? I wonder if this is all for naught, essentially, because our landing code would not ever be probably implemented or started until after our second stage gets into orbit or near orbit, right? So what is the booster's altitude going to be at? I don't know. I don't know if it really matters. If you had 3 engines around a central engine, would you have more control? I don't think so. Why did that happen? Starship, yeah, it is Starship, Batman, indeed. Yeah, exactly, all the sick flips. Yeah, I don't know why it started doing that. It was weird. How many times have we flown this tonight? Like at least 4 times, and that hasn't done it? Okay, here's that overshoot trajectory. I'm interested to see what happens if we do overshoot. Because now that we've changed the gains and whatnot, I wonder if it will try to slow down faster. It's worth a try. He just wants to be a gymnast? I mean, I guess. It's not really what I want, though. Back to the drawing board? Yeah, exactly. I don't know why it did that. How many times have we flown this booster? And it hasn't done that ever. ARPC being weird, I guess? I'm not sure. Yeah, very proton moment, 100%. And Arian 5, yeah. Alright, so right now it's hands off. Let's see what happens. So this is purposefully on a overshoot trajectory. Because I want to see if it will respond appropriately and try to slow down. Oh, and then going back to what I was saying. So right now, right, we're only using our horizontal or I should say our downrange distance, right? Call this R. We're only using R to figure out our trajectory. And essentially all we're basically telling it to do is, hey, command a velocity until you get here. But in reality, we are also over time doing this, where I think a better way to do this would be, hey, we want to target a place here, right? And we want to command a horizontal velocity to get to this point, which would be right over the pad. And then that way you can just land straight down. That's what I want to do, which is, you know, aim for a point above the pad that we can actually track. Because we're kind of doing that in a pseudo way here, but it's not nearly as good as actually commanding a waypoint like that. Commanding a 3D position, essentially. All right, now we're starting to command to slow down. Is it going to be able to do it, though, before we overshoot? Looking pretty good, actually, yeah. And it's rolling, turning back towards the pad. Not bad. Change their gain to be a little bit more aggressive. Yeah, not bad. That was definitely better. So that's good. We don't actually have to worry about overshooting now, because we basically commanded to start slowing down sooner. I like it. I wonder if we're still slightly over aggressive on our gain change. Bum, 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 bum. What happens if we change that to like 12 instead of 15? Still amazing to look at. I'm glad you think so. I'm glad you enjoy it. There would be 2 phases to get to the point and then hover slam. Yeah, essentially, TF. That would be, I think, what I would want to do. Because essentially, we don't really care about the 3D space right now, right? We just say, hey, get to this point, but it acts as if it's only a 2-dimensional plane. We do not worry about our altitude at all. Where in reality, we should actually control our vehicle to try and hit this point, which is, say, you know, I don't know, 3 kilometers, 3,000 meters above the pad. So that way, as we get there, we're doing something like this and starting to like turn to get to that point, and then we just drop straight down, right? That would be, I think, kind of ideal if we did something like that. Because then we would be almost like perfectly lined up towards the pad, where right now, because we're only working in a 2-dimensional plane and we're only commanding our horizontal velocity, what we end up essentially doing is saying, hey, we're going to actually end up hitting like here, because as we get closer, we command smaller and smaller velocities, and then we have to basically get here and we say, oh crap, we got to divert and then land. That's essentially what's happening now. And of course, part of that can be mitigated with our overshoot approach like we're doing, but it isn't perfect. It isn't actually controlling the desired outcome. It's kind of going about it in an indirect way, if you will. But it is much better. It is certainly much better. And I think if we can figure out this last gain schedule, it could be pretty much on point. Yeah, exactly, space. All right, 3.5 kilometers downrange. Commanding 250 meters per second towards the pad, achieving 125. Now 2,500, we are now commanding 240, getting 130. Commanding 210. Commanding 150, achieving 140. Now we should start slowing down. There we go, we're slowing down. Commanding 90, achieving 120. Commanding 70, achieving 180. Yeah, slowing down pretty quick. Now achieving correct velocity. Aiming towards the pad again. And gain schedule. Now more aggressively aiming towards the pad. Maybe that was actually the wrong direction. Maybe we actually need to be more aggressive there. Right? Because did you see it? Like, it was commanding it, but it was still only commanding a few meters per second. Yeah. Here's that gain schedule change, and you can see it's still not enough velocity commanded to try and actually get to the pad in time. And what do I have currently set on our overarching gain? 1. Go 111 and see what that does. That might be too aggressive, but we'll see. Like I said, it's just a matter of tuning this. We have the throttle response good, and I mean, like I said, that to me is pretty darn good, but I'd love it if we could get it even better. Yo, Sawyer coming in with a spicy landing on the Twitch side for 3 Kerbal years. 3 Kerbal years of support. Much love to you. How you doing, Sawyer? Yeah, like I said, this is actually really nice that we're getting into the distance controller tuning, because that's how you try and mitigate an overshoot. So ideally, if we can actually figure out the correct velocities to try and achieve at a different distance, we would, I mean, ideally start coming in like right over the pad, just like I was showing in Microsoft Paint. Yo, another one coming in from Million Lights with a Twitch Prime sub on the Twitch side. Much love to you. How are you doing? Hope you're enjoying the stream. Rome wasn't built in a day. That is true. That is true. Yeah, like I said, I'm getting to the point, like I wanted to use this stream as like a last test day, and now start using it in what is essentially what we call mission mode, right? Like, we're going to do it live. We're going to use this to try and get, you know, reusability into the game for our career mode. This is career mode, so what I'm kind of thinking that we're going to do is probably just use today, and whatever we achieve, we're going to run with it for a little while, and then we'll start looking at coding again and implementing boost back burn and stuff like that. Chrome names, that's funny. Love your stream. This is really fun. I'm glad you enjoy it. That's awesome. Thanks, Million. Thanks a million. Aha! I know, I hate myself too. It's fine. All right, 5 kilometers downrange, commanding 250 meters per second. You're like 195,000 years old? Oof. Hey, fair enough. Jeb is out of the solar system? Nice, Space. You should get the mod speed unit changer or converter or something like that. It allows you to change your data, like, oh, I see. Different altitudes, like feet and stuff. Speed unit changer. Let's look into that. But yes, indeed. Like, haha, I'm horrible. I hate it. All right, 1,300 meters, commanding 90. We're really trying to slow down now. See, this is what I'm talking about. Trying to come right in over the pad. There we go. There we go. Aim towards the pad now. Realign. That's not bad. Looking good. Gain change. Gain is now more aggressive. Yeah, like no matter what, chat, it's not gonna get perfect. I'm pretty happy with that though. You good? Yeah, you good? All right, all the landing gear are locked, yes? Good. Why are they still able to move? That's so weird to me. Those shouldn't be allowed to move still. But they are. All right, well, whatever. Hopefully that'll damp out. All right, well. Do I not have an SPMT stored over here? I don't. I don't have an SPMT stored over here. How dare I, chat? How dare I? Yep, dancing a little bit. Would solar panels charge electric rocket systems? In real life? No. Well, I mean, yes, technically. I don't know if you would get enough power to like run a rocket, like electric turbo pumps and stuff. You wouldn't get enough power for that. You can smooth that out, maybe. Or just come in better. All right, space plane hangar. By the way, what did that look like? Look at that. Perfect. Perfect command. Yeah, not bad. Let's get the SPMT out. Got names. We just made an engineer last time, right? Who was that? Who did we just draft last stream as an engineer? Who was it? I know we did. Panta? Was it Panta? It wasn't Panta. Who was it? Not Mayor. Did we send him on a mission? We must have. All right, well, unless it was names and I'm totally misremembering, but anyways. Oh, right, we gotta go to, actually, can I just do it from here? Or it won't let me even do it from here. Looks like the centipede? Yeah, pretty much. Posture check. Gotcha. Nope, not gonna do it. Okay, so we just have to switch editor, and now we get to do it. Yeah, I didn't think so. I could have sworn that unless, like I said, unless we sent them up on a mission, which I think we did, right? Because we just flew Kerbals into orbit. That's why we have our handy dandy mission log, exclamation point log in chat. Was it Deke? Maybe it was Deke. I know Deke's new, fairly new. Deke. Herman. What? I didn't even... Whatever. Whatever. Looks pretty good. And will that terrain seem like a boss? Thought about this to roll out the big rockets? What do you mean? Oh, like to lift off from this? No? I guess we could, but no. Guess we could. The only thing though is that it has wheels, and so you know, we need a nice sturdy foundation to launch a rocket off of. Like wheels can crack and strike or break and all that sort of stuff. Just, ugh. If I can't get this angle correct. Yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah, that's what it's designed off of. It's called an SPMT, or a self-propelled modular transporter in real life. Yep, that's what this is designed off of, and we added a strong back to it. Hey. SPMT. Hey, Hoppy. Nice. But yeah, that's what rolls out Starship. They have multiple of them that roll out Booster and Starship, which is pretty crazy. Yep, at the bottom there. Ooh, we're here. But yeah. SPMTs. Originally designed to move massive mining equipment around. Oh, yeah, exactly, Tay. Yeah. A little, yeah, I agree. That would be very prudent. Okay, locked out. Oh, really? You don't have enough drive in the wheels? We'll just bump the booster back. Skirt. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Can you move back a little bit? Thank you. A little bit more would be great. Actually, might not even be necessary. Well, we'll see if that works. I don't know if we're going to be close enough or not. We're going to get close enough. Ah, it's like so close. It wants to, chat. This could be a mistake. That should give us an angle. Then... Ah! There we go. Easy mode. Easy mode, chat. Same vessel. Nope, not that. Lock it in place. There we go. Da, 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 da. Now I gotta go around here, aim camera, and find that. Oh, there it is. Excuse me. Ah, I knew it. I was wondering why it wasn't working. That wasn't that got deleted somehow, but whatever. It's fine. We didn't actually need it anyways. Funny enough. There we go. Cool. Seems good. Okay, I was not expecting that. I'm not gonna lie. I forgot to put the this down. Hold it. Hold it up. As it carries all that weight for it for the first time. It's okay though. Go ahead and reverse and play it back. There we go. That was weird. What's going on with robotics? We have plenty of electrical charge. Usually that happens when you don't have enough electrical charge. And the robot drives itself? That would be pretty cool, Tay. I like that, yeah. Have the Kerbals inspect the engines. They're fine. They're fine. Hey, what's up, Hellfish? How are you? It's always incredible to see, isn't it, Million? Yeah. Booster is no joke in terms of scale. That's a lot of stress on the hinge. Yep. That's why we got 3 of them. Yeah, pretty much this is the maximum, what I figure is probably the maximum mass that we can have on this type of design, where we don't have any sort of like truss arms or anything like that to push against. Oh. I'm sure it's fine, chat. Got hung up here. There we go. Because, like, yeah, this is starting to be way too much mass for just the hinges here. If we go bigger, right, to do the same style of design, we would probably need to have, like, push arms, hydraulics up here to push up and stabilize it and stuff. Yeah, you gotta get leverage, or got to start getting leverage involved, essentially. And there we go. How much does the booster weigh right now? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I want to say empty, it's like 30 tons, maybe 40, 30, probably 30. So 30 tons being lifted by just a hinge at the far, you know, far away from the center of mass. Really? Really? That broke all the gear? Hitting the... That broke the gear. I hate this game. I should, huh? When this thing gets up to 88 meters per second, chat, we're gonna see some serious crap. This thing has way more fuel than I anticipated. Oh, there we go. We never got up to 88 meters per second, though. Break! That's our turn! That's our turn! Oh, no! Uh-oh, I really messed up. I messed up, chat. I really messed up, chat. Come on, make the turn. Make the turn. Oh, God. This is fine. This is fine. Oh, we're going off-road, though. We're going off-road, though. Oh, delightful. And the rocket is still standing. Maybe not in so many words, but brilliant. Oh well, anyways, that was all just for fun. I think that is gonna have to do it for me tonight though, chat. Oh, it's getting late. I'm getting loopy. I'm getting punch happy, but yeah, all the rocket drifting. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I think that was the last day that we're going to spend tuning the controller, and I think we're going to get back into some missions. I'm also going to probably work off stream on coming up with a plan on how to automate boost back, because I think that is what I want to do. Quick save? No, that's fine. I didn't want to, I wasn't really working on reusing that. It was kind of like a nice if we could. Not really that big a deal. But anyways, yep, I think that's going to be the goal, is probably off stream. I'm going to kind of plan out how to automate boost back. And then maybe in a little while, we'll start implementing that on stream. But I want to get back into missions. I want to start flying. I want to start using the code that we have available to us where we can actually land boosters in a pretty accurate way. You know, we're within that like 40-meter landing ellipse, so to speak. So yeah. I think we're good. I think we've got ourselves set up here nicely now. Anyways, chat, that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. The next stream will probably be Sunday evening. So Sunday, probably starting around 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. But until then, chat, have a good weekend and check y'all next time. Ta-ta.